Gottlieb, you've written a lot, said a lot. If one were looking for your articles, where would one find them?
I sent you most of the URLs, I believe.
Are they on the web?
They're, most of them are on the web except for the ones that are very old, but we've put together a binder of all of them. I'd be happy to make it available to the committee.
Thank you. As far as the opportunity to review Dr. Gottlieb, I would go back through what I said in my statement. He's visited with every senator who wanted to visit with him on the committee. He's complied with all the requirements of the Office of Government Ethics, who have agreed that with the recusals he's agreed to do, he will not have a conflict of interest. All of his papers are in a timely way, according to the rules of our committee. We'll have a chance to question him today through 2 rounds of questions, if members would like to do that. And it will be at least 2 weeks before we have a chance to have a markup, so members will have a chance to thoroughly consider him and his record before casting a vote as to whether to report him to the full Senate. As to his work with agencies or with companies that have to do with drugs and food, that's not so unusual for someone who is going to be head of the FDA, and in my view, it helps to have somebody who knows something about the subject. An example would be Dr. Califf, his predecessor, who supports Dr. Gottlieb's nomination. Dr. Califf from Duke University was previously employed by over 20 drug and device companies between 2010 and 2014 before he became the commissioner of the FDA. That didn't disqualify him from serving. I supported him. He was approved by the Senate 89-4. So I'm glad to know that you've got a background and experience in the issues before you. As far as Dr. Califf goes, let me say to you a question I asked him when we were working on 21st Century Cures. I asked him his #1 priority for the Food and Drug Administration. He said it was to be able to hire and pay personnel at the FDA so they could deal with these life-saving drugs and devices that are coming the way of the FDA. The administration has placed a hiring freeze that seems to be interfering with that. Should you be confirmed, what would you do about that?
Senator, thanks for the question. I understand how important a strong workforce is to FDA and helping FDA maintain its gold standard. I think FDA is unique among federal agencies in that it doesn't pass through most of its money. Most of the money that Congress allocates to FDA gets spent at FDA on the work, and it's incumbent upon us to have a world-class workforce that we're providing the proper tools to and the proper training to maintain that very high standard. I have, through my career and my time at FDA, been committed to making sure we have a very strong workforce at FDA. I have spoken out about that. I will continue to make my views known on that issue.
Well, I hope that you will, because this wasn't a minor issue with us. It was his top priority, and it was a top priority of ours, both Democrats and Republicans, and we want 21st Century Cures to be a reality, and that's an important part of it. Dr. Collins, the head of the National Institutes of Health, has predicted a number of medical miracles over the next 10 years. One of the most important would be the possibility of discovery of non-addictive pain medicines, which would make the opioid epidemic much less of a problem by providing a substitute. The President has indicated a similar priority. Many of us have on both sides of the aisle. What could you do as Commissioner of the FDA, working with Dr. Collins, the President, and others in the administration, and with us, to be forward-leaning on accelerating finding a discovery of non-addictive pain medicines, which might do more than anything else to relieve the opioid epidemic?
Thank you, Senator. The opioid epidemic in this country is having staggering human consequences. I think that this is the biggest crisis facing the agency and is going to require dramatic action on the part of whoever steps into the agency, and I hope the Senate confirms me to take on this challenge. I think it's going to require an all-of-the-above approach. I think there are some things we're going to have to do to really push the boundaries of the policy framework in this area, and that does include reevaluating the framework for how we can develop alternatives to opioid drugs. I think it also includes looking at device alternatives to opioid drugs and looking at devices in the context of drugs. And I would also add to that looking at medically assisted therapy to help people live a life of sobriety after they have become addicted. But there is going to be a need.
Thank you.
in
My time is
Thank you.
my time is running out. I will submit for the record a question about a persistent issue with the FDA not promptly clearing medical device shipments, and I hope you'll look into it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Senator Murray.